Welcome to the Good, the Bad, and the Sequel Q&A. My name's Doug. So the next sequel that we're going to be covering, we're going back to the creature features. Of course, I'm talking Critters 3. And for it, I chatted with an actor in the film that had to use a puppet because the critter broke to off himself in the movie. And of course, I'm talking about an actor who loved the term chameleon when it comes to his roles because he's so good at really embodying that character. You forgot about, oh my God, he was that guy in that other thing? Oh man. And that's Geoffrey Blake. Oh man, Geoffrey, we just got done with the interview the day before this is going to go live on April 17th, 2026. And wow, Geoffrey is so much fun to talk to. We talked about him growing up, very wild childhood. I'll let him explain it because to me, I don't want to ruin it. It's pretty, and he's kind of like blasé about it. I get it because he was in it, but for me, it was like, oh my God. And then we talked about, him acting theater at a young age and the going to USC instead of Juilliard because the Juilliard, the cost of it. And then the actors that he was in a company with, mind blowing. And then we talked about like moments from his career, working with Emilio Estevez, connecting with him, and then working on multiple films after that when he was in Young Guns. We talked Men at Work because my dad, rest in peace, he was Garbage Man. So that was like his favorite movie. And if you haven't seen it, be sure to check out Men at Work. Oh my God. See Young Guns. I see a lot of Geoffrey's. Geoffrey has some amazing credits. Then we talked to the changing moment when it comes to Forrest Gump playing Wesley, the douche boyfriend, which is such a really awesome role and such a kind of really important part of the film in Forrest Gump. And then working with Mrs. Zemeckis a bunch of times and Hanks a bunch of times. And then working with Ron Howard. He told a really cool Ron Howard story. But yeah, no, so much fun chatting with Geoffrey, a real actor's actor, which I do love. Like he is very method. When it comes to Men at Work, those were extensions. He was a white Rastafarian garbage man with extensions, but just really cool stories. He has a lot of contact with people from that era, and it was so cool because they all came up, all worked with each other, and all still friends to this day. And that's what I love, just the connections. They are important. And if we can just get rid of self-taping, get back in the audition room, and then Geoffrey and a lot of people that I talk to, man, it'd just be a lot better. So much better of an experience and casting when you can get a feel for the person, have them try it a different way. And it gives people that might not get the opportunity, maybe get an opportunity because they can wow people in the room just by their presence when they go in. But yeah, do me a favor if you're new here, welcome. Oh my God, Geoffrey's amazing. So I'm sure you saw his name, his credits. You're like, wow, I got to hear his story. His story is amazing. We've interviewed now over, probably 180, 200 people. Oh, definitely over 200 people. What am I talking about? This is like episode 413-ish. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head. And we do movie sequel reviews. Like next week, we'll talk Critters 3. So it's a lot of fun, a lot of back and forth, a lot of improvisation. That's really what it is. We watch the films, we talk about them. So subscribe, like, follow us on social media at Sequels Only. And yeah, so without further ado, here is the chameleon, a guy who's a real actor's actor and just a really cool guy. He showed up to the interview because this is on YouTube unedited. So if you want to see the video of it, which you'll actually see my son pop in the background. He's home from school today. He starts climbing the cabinets. He's in here. And Geoffrey's like, whoa, there's a face behind you because I had the green screen background set up. But man, yeah, Geoffrey's cool. You're going to love it. Enjoy.
LBI.
My buddy used to have a house in Beach Haven.
There you go. And I kind of went there and done a lot as a kid.
Oh, cool. So that was, you left California because you grew up in California, right? In Northern California?
I grew up all over the world.
Oh, okay.
Northern California was the final spot.
Yeah.
Dad was literally a spy, so he was a CIA guy. So,
oh my God,
we track everywhere you can track my life. You can track that there was
something going on. There was some operation.
There was some going on.
What was that like as a kid? Like you were sort of aware, or were you just like, oh, I'm just a military kid?
I became more aware. Not even military.
Yeah.
He said he was in computers.
Oh, that's even crazier.
But,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I lived in Hong Kong during the Vietnam War, so
Wow.
he was going in and out, and yeah, he he's no longer with us. That's why I could actually found out that it was all through a CIA guy I met in the entertainment industry. So
Wow. So
so you
when did you officially know? Did he ever tell you open about it? He never talked about it?
it's still it's still no, he certainly never talked
Wow,
about
that's
it, and
wild.
it's still very gray.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm choosing to just keep it gray because I'm
Yeah.
not sure
If
I didn't really know him much. Then when I look back on it in life in therapy, you kind of go, I never really knew the man anyways.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Wow. So all that traveling, what did you have a particular spot that you liked the best? Obviously, at different ages, you're hitting like were your
Yeah, I
teen
love
years? Was that in California
that was in
already?
That
Okay.
was in Northern California.
Well, at least that's
Yeah,
good.
so I I liked Hong Kong the best, I think. I was the only one in the family who did love it there. And Northern California, it is what it is.
Yeah,
It was what it was. It was
yeah.
very suburban and very I'm an artist, I'm an actor, I'm incredibly liberal. I'm not going to hide that.
Yeah.
And so where I grew up in Northern California is definitely not any of that. So
No, I know. It's funny. We lived in Oregon. We lived in Portland, and it's pretty wild when you
uh,
think about like Oregon's mostly, mountains and deserts and part regions nobody can really inhabit. But you think about it, it's like
right.
Portland's like the only liberal area, and then everywhere else
Yeah,
in the
no
state, it
doubt.
is like backward city.
I love Portland, and I've shot there a bunch of times. But there was one time I was shooting. It was a TV movie, and it was with me and Mayor Winningham and Christopher McDonald from
Oh,
the
sweet.
from, yeah, whatever his character is in the Adam Sandler
The
golfing
Shooter
movie.
McGavin, yeah.
Yeah, Shooter McGavin. So it was me, Shooter McGavin, and Mayor Winningham. Um, and we were shooting most of it in Portland, and we were staying in Portland. And then we went and shot one scene in this like movie theater in this small town that was outside of Portland. Like probably half an hour, 40 minutes outside of
Yeah,
Portland. But oh my God,
yeah.
the politics, it's like it was pouring, shocking. And I had a costume change, and I didn't feel like going all the way down to base camp drive because it was just pouring. I literally had boxers on, so it was no big deal.
Yeah.
So I stepped into this movie theater lobby. It was basically closed. There was no movie going. It was early in the morning. And so I just changed the pants and changed the shirt and went into and I went back to work and we started shooting. Suddenly the cops show up. And they say that there was some young woman, late teens, early 20s, that was setting up the box office, and that that what would it be, indecent
Yeah,
exposure they were
yeah.
trying to arrest me for. I said, indecent exposure. I have boxers
Yeah,
on
yeah, yeah.
that are so if I go to the beach, am I
Yeah,
indecently exposing
yeah.
myself?
Everyone, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, "What?" And then we figured it out, but I went, "Wow, this place is get me out of here."
No, even in the city
So, yeah.
itself, it's pretty wild. Like you go to these neighborhoods, like growing up in New Jersey, like you see it's weird living in Portland because of the lack of diversity. It was weird. Like I would go play basketball, pick up basketball,
Right.
and it'd be all white people. It was, and that's something just not I'm accustomed to. Because my high school was like one of
No.
the most culturally diverse in New Jersey. Like when I
Yeah, and
graduated, and then I went to all white people.
that's what I didn't like about the Northern California town I lived in as well.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
weird.
it's all white people.
Yeah.
Um, even where I live right now, because my son's gonna be in his last year of high school next year. So I was living in Venice Beach for most of the time when I
Okay.
lived in California, which is very diverse and very crazy. But for the last couple of years here, I just got a little too crazy in Venice. So my first son is off at college in Drexel in Philly.
Oh,
So
sweet. Oh, you're not too far from me.
yeah, No, he's a music production. He's a hip hop star in the
Sweet.
making, and he's really good. I don't say that just because I'm his dad. He really is good.
Yeah.
And so my second son, we decided to, because he's totally into surfing. So we moved down to what now reminds me of very much the town in Northern California I grew up. There is nothing but white people here,
Yeah.
and they have nothing interesting to say. They're I say I don't surf, I don't play volleyball, and I don't drink. So there's nothing for me to do in this town because that's all they do. They
Yeah.
surf, they play volleyball, and then they go drink.
Oh
And they
man.
all look exactly alike.
Yeah.
The women in particular, they all look exactly alike. They all wear Lululemons, which is a workout
Yep.
outfit, and the Lululemon sports bra on top of that. And then there's one bar here in this town called Shellback Tavern, and they sell these ridiculous looking trucker hats that say Shellback Tavern on it. Every woman here owns one, from the first wife to the second wife to the third wife. They all have little ponytails that all stick out the back of it, and it's like, wow, they have the uniform.
Yeah,
It's
right.
like,
Yeah.
okay,
You move into the town, it's
yes,
like the Stepford Wives. They give you some sort of, okay,
it
this is,
totally is.
yeah, welcome
Yeah, it's
package.
100% is. Separate wives of different, like I just said, different levels. Are you the
Yeah.
first wife, the second wife, or the third wife? The third wives don't seem to be as angry.
Yeah.
So
So now
yeah,
you're growing up, you're going everywhere, you land in Northern California.
yeah.
When did like acting begin? Like when did you have that bug? Was it from watching performing theater in elementary school?
Oh, yes,
Oh,
elementary
you
school for
started there?
sure. Yes. And yeah, ever since I was a kid, I realized that at first I realized that I got a lot of attention. I made people laugh. I ought to, from young kid on, I was always able to create characters that were not me, in my active imagination. And that just developed and developed and developed until I got into my teenage years, and developed by going into San Francisco from the suburbs all the time, just not telling my parents.
Yeah.
Started to have a theater career there, and from that point on, trained. Then it became LA. Then it became New York. Then New York, LA. LA. Right now, I'm going to be moving back to New York 2027. So,
Cool.
um,
Where
yeah.
what years
So
were you in San Francisco? Because that was always a hip scene.
that was well, no, but I was in the suburbs of San Francisco. That's
Oh,
the
okay.
white town I was talking about. I
Yeah.
was in Gulf Coast, man,
Oh,
and
okay.
and I was a championship tennis player.
Really?
That
Oh, wow.
was I hated every minute of it. But I was good at the drama on the court though, because that was during the McEnroe days, and
Oh,
my brother
yeah.
went to Stanford with McEnroe.
Wow.
Oh, so he was my idol. That kind of behavior was very prevalent on the tennis court, which then ultimately ended up being kind of what my career as an actor is. So,
Yeah. That's
it's
awesome.
true.
So
I,
so
I did, I did.
when were you thinking about that transition from stage to screen? Did somebody seek you out and be like, "Hey, we'd love for you to audition for this," or is it something you went to like a call or?
No, I, 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 I wanted to go to Juilliard, and I got into Juilliard. But then my parents wouldn't pay for it because they wanted me to have something to fall back on, whatever the fuck that means. And I tell every young actor, don't have anything to fall back on, because
Yeah,
if you have something to fall, no, literally, if you have
I
something to
know.
fall back on, you're not going to do this, because it's easy just to say I quit.
Mhm.
So I ended up, instead of going to Juilliard, I ended up going to USC Theater School, the University of Southern California, and they didn't have to pay for that either, because I played tennis, and and literally never played a single set of tennis there, but um, because I had an injury,
Uh,
uh, but I did have, bad shoulder, but every tennis player has a bad
yeah,
shoulder,
yeah,
as
yeah.
does every pitcher. So I read in the NC2AA guidelines that if I have an injury, they can't pull back my scholarship.
Okay.
So they had to recognize it. So I had the injury. So I ended up not playing tennis there, but still having a scholarship. And 2 years in our sophomore year, so this was a hell of a class. This was a hell of a class that we've all had wonderful film and television careers. So I mean, Forrest Whitaker, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Ali Sheedy, Eric Stoltz, Anthony Edwards from ER. Um, there were a couple of others. And we all started working. It was kind of the height of teen film life. And actually, Eric Stoltz had done a TV movie called Paper Dolls. And it ultimately ended up going to series. And he didn't want to do a series. So I actually did the series.
In his role?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
And so then Eric, Anthony, and Forrest and Jennifer all ended up being in Fast Time. So I think it was Eric Stoltz, the Mask Eric Stoltz,
Yep.
not the Mask Jim Carrey, the Mask Eric Stoltz. But he met a woman named Peggy Fury. And Peggy Fury and her husband, William Traylor, ran a place called the Loft Studio, which was in conjunction with the Actors Studio in New York. And we decided to go invitation only. We all met Peggy, and then Peggy invited us to come be a part of the Loft Studio. We went to school. We went to rather than going to university anymore and having our parents lose all that money, and not any of us having really no desire to do like me. I had no desire graduating from college. I had no desire of ever. It was kind of an FU to my parents.
Yeah,
I had
right.
no desire of having anything to fall back on. But I knew that I just treated USC as if it were Juilliard. I treated it as a repertory theater program, and only took theater classes. That's all I took. And by our sophomore year, when we met Peggy, we all left that group I just told you about. And we went to Peggy's and we studied. It was amazing. So that class, there's a class. So we moved into a class of those classes. You've heard those people. So
Yeah.
now, in addition to that, in that class, Sean Penn, Chris Penn, Crispin Glover, Michelle Pfeiffer, Meg Ryan, Meg Tilly, Jennifer Tilly, Kira Sedgwick, Kevin Bacon.
That's insane.
Was Kevin on that? Maybe not. I mean, it's confusing Kira and Kevin all the time together anyway. Maybe they. Angelica Houston. All of these people were in one class. Jim Carrey, speaking of, actually,
Really?
that mask was with the mask. Jim Carrey came in and out of that class.
Wow, that's wild.
It was just, and some great directors like Tom Shadyac, the director of all the Jim Carrey movies.
Yes.
He was in that class as an actor.
He was an actor first? Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Tom was a good actor. Actually.
Yeah.
Really very, very fun. Very funny. Yeah. So it was an amazing class. I sometimes say, like, well, with Forrest and all the Oscars and Sean and all his Oscars, and even if he doesn't want to show up, I always felt I would say, maybe I'm the junior varsity of the Loft Studio. I'm not sure. Although I've had a wonderful career.
Yes, you're still doing it. You know, that I think that's a testament of it. Like, to continue to do acting, because like you said, that people can get to the point that it's like, yeah, it's not shaking out, which happens in the ebbs and flows of everyone's career. But the people that stick in, you know, they prevail.
Well, 45 years. It would be this August. So yes, 45 years here and working as a professional actor in the film and television business. But if you count the stuff as a kid, then even longer than that.
Yeah.
So,
do you remember the first role? Obviously, this is something that was in your mind. Like you said, like you went to USC and it was, I'm getting no degree. I'm here for the theater. Do you remember the first role that you had, or maybe, I don't know, maybe Paper Dolls, and you got that series that you're like, I can really do this to make a living? Was there ever a moment
You
you had
know,
like that? Or you quit the other
I've been
job? Like
asked
people
this.
always say, like, quit the catering job, you know?
Yeah, I blessedly have never had the catering job. I've
Good.
never done anything else.
Yeah.
Um, so I've been asked this question many times on podcasts and interviews and things. I don't think there was. I think that I think I lived wonderfully ignorant in that I was this is what I'm going to do,
Yeah.
and I'm going to do it, and I did it, and never lacked the confidence to do it. But has there been down year? I mean, like right now, I couldn't tell you what the fuck this industry is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally, I can. I mean, it's like for all of us, it's like, what? There's only going to be one studio owned by these people, and nobody goes to the movies anymore, and they don't make anything in Los Angeles anymore.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to be here. There's no reason to be here because all we do is self-tape. There's no casting. It used to be there was this great community of casting directors we love, and they bring in, they were very good at filtering out those of us who they built our careers. They would
Yeah.
bring us in. They would take us to the producers. We'd meet the directors. It was a symbiotic relationship amongst all those moving wheels, and that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
We everything we do is self tape, and you're either getting offers or you're self taping. I have a combination of both, but
Yeah.
mostly these days it's self-taping. So you're producing your own little movies in kind of a vacuum. And then you just send it out. You don't know if they've gotten thousands of these things or if they're being who knows. And before you would get feedback, you talk, the casting director would talk to your agent, the agent would talk to the producers, the manager would talk to the studio, all that, none of that happens.
Yeah. And it ruins it, I think. I've talked to some casting directors that did it, like this lady Fern Champion, like she's still working, big in the 80s, 90s, but she talked about how weird it is casting with that, because you don't have, like, exactly what you mentioned. You don't have the, oh, how about, can you try it this way? And then maybe that's the one that nails it. But you don't have that now, and you can't even get somebody's personality. They can have the greatest self-tape, but you don't know. Maybe they're an asshole. Maybe, like, pre
Well,
and
yeah,
post
that's a
that,
big
they're
deal.
dicks.
No, that's a big deal because literally in the room, I think I was talking to Steven Weber about that. About literally in the room is where you first meet, and then part of that is I've always thought is particularly with the producers and particularly with the director. Is this part of the audition process? Is this somebody I want to spend the next 3 months with?
Yes.
Is this
Intimately,
somebody who I think,
closely. Yeah.
yes, is this somebody I think is going to be collaborative and is going to bring their A game to my game and going to be an added part to the process? And I'm all about process. That I my favorite part of acting is collaborating with all the talents, particularly directors.
Yeah.
I love directors. I mean, some of the directors are still my dearest friends, and they hate it. They hate the self-tape thing.
Yeah.
They do. It's just like, how, particularly in episodic, I have one friend who's like one of the biggest episodic directors, and he's like, how do I know? Like with you, Blake, I know what I'm getting. That's why I'm hiring you. How do I know that this actor, younger actor in particular, how do I know that's not like take 87?
I know.
Yeah, I don't have 87 takes. I got 3, and I'm
Yeah.
so I don't have time for a self-tape boy to try to muster up, take 87.
Yeah. It sucks. That's
So there you
there's a
go.
lot of things that sucked, obviously, because COVID. But yeah, for the industry.
Yeah, no, it started with COVID. It
Yeah.
started with the COVID, and then COVID went right into the strike.
Yep. And they're like, oh, we don't need to do these auditions in person. Just like companies now are like, I know some companies want people to come back into the office, but other ones are like, shit, we don't have to pay that rent in Manhattan. Like I work at a firm in
Yeah.
Manhattan. I don't have to go in, and they rent out space in the office, and they probably make more than they have to pay in rent.
Right. True.
So
That's absolutely true.
yeah.
Yeah, casting directors, that was the other great thing we loved about it. Like, I would love just to go by and, drop off a cup of coffee and, some muffins or like Sharon Bialy and say hello
Yeah.
and catch up and talk to them. We were friends. So the only time I ever see Sharon Bialy anymore is Spencer Garrett's New Year's Eve party. That's where I see her every year.
That's got to be pretty fun. Oh man. So one cool show that you were on that I didn't discover because it was when I was really young. Well, actually, the year I was born, but I became obsessed with the Larry Sanders Show and Gary Shandling. So I went back and I was
Okay.
able to find some of the old episodes. I don't even think you buy DVDs of it, but it's Gary Shandling's show. What a cool, ahead of its time thing.
It's Gary Shandling's show.
The song was great.
That
The
was
Randy Newman track was so funny.
Yeah, this is the theme to Gary Show, the opening theme to Gary Show. Yes, and it very clearly was Gary's show. That's what I'll say about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. I had when I auditioned for it, I specifically remember auditioning for it, and because they said it was his best friend, Lewis, the character, the young swinging friend Lewis, and I figured just because they were always performing together and doing I just figured it was Richard Lewis. So the very
and it
first
spelled
take,
like Richard Lewis too.
Yes, and the very first take I did in the audition room, which was completely wrong, and thank God they redirected me. But I think I said, Gary, I don't know, I'm late, I'm sorry. And they're going, oh no, it's Lewis Smith, it's not Richard Lewis. Oh, and I actually knew who Lewis Smith was, and I always wondered why it wasn't just Lewis Smith.
Yeah, right.
He probably could have used the gig. But ultimately, yeah, it was. I did only the first season, series regular, and then it kind of became. All I ever did on the show was come in late, almost miss the credits, and always have some floozy on my arm and ask if I could use the jacuzzi. I think that's pretty much. Wore really cool clothes, and I kind of knew it wasn't going to go to a season 2, and I remember exactly the moment. At the end of if you ever been to live tapings of sitcoms, that you have a live audience, and you do 2 tapings with the live audiences. And so when it's just like theater, at the end you come out and you do a curtain call, and you answer questions and stuff from the live audience and thank them for coming and taking their time out to watch your show. So we did that, and then we had one early show one time, and the majority of the crowd was like a girls, I want to say volleyball team or basketball team, a high school girl volleyball team or basketball team, from somewhere in the valley, because that's kind of where we shot actually over at ABC Prospect, was just kind of Silver Lake-ish, and it's where they used to shoot General Hospital. They probably still do, and so we came out for the curtain call. And because I was a young guy then. I was a young guy, wore really cool clothes, had a cool haircut for the time. Little Duran Duran-ish now. And when I came out, I got all these like, woo, 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 calls from the girls thinking I was cute. Thinking I was a good looking guy and da-da-da-da-da. So there were a lot of woos, not Arsenio. But, and then Gary came out. When Gary came out, they liked him, but it was this kind of polite applause. They did not clearly find Gary woo-woo material.
Yeah.
But isn't that kind of what his whole act is?
Yeah.
But ended up, I kind of went, oh man, I'm so fucked. There's just, nah. So by the time it came to discussing season 2, Alan Zweibel was the executive producer. And so he kind of just called me up and said, well, what are you thinking? All we really do is this one joke every week. Is that working for you? And I said, well, I would love to do more. And then they said, yeah, we've been talking about it, searching, but we just can't we can't find it. So you're not coming back for season 2. I was very disappointed. It was the first time I'd ever not invited back to something.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with me, just had to do with the character, and my Duran Duran haircut. But ultimately, I was bummed for a week or two, I think. And then I remember getting a call from my agent saying, oh, and it goes, there's a very strange movie it's a big movie. We think it's got a very strange name, and the director would like to meet you. And that was Forrest Gump.
Oh, wow.
So I would never have, had I stayed on It's Gary Shandling Show, I would have never been in Forrest Gump. And Forrest Gump, changed the trajectory of my career.
Wow. How long did what year was that? Because Forrest Gump came out in 94. Did it take a while for it to get developed?
It did. Yeah, we came out in 94. And I just look back at, if I had been on Gary's show, how many other opportunities I wouldn't have had.
Yeah, no, totally.
And that's kind of the way you always have to look at your career. It's like, well, if I hadn't done that, I would have done this. I had done this, I would. And then the ones that got away, those are the ones that you go, like I was pretty much Patrick Hasburg's choice to be the lead in 21 Jump Street. And I went to the network and I went to everything, and I was his vision. He wanted to have a teenage show about undercover cops. And then he wanted that cop, the character that Johnny ultimately ended up playing, to be a chameleon who every week goes into the high schools and changes into the different characters. Because that's kind of what I do as an actor. And the network said, great. We'd really rather have him be a really good looking guy who every girl in America wants to turn in to see him be that really good looking guy every week.
You should have said, hey, I got woo-wooed on the Gary Shandling show.
But that's not what they're looking for. I mean, it's yeah. So, I remember my agent once saying, you're a good looking guy, Jeff. And back in those days, it was really all about, really, they wanted really pretty boys. Yeah. Johnny's a great actor, but he's a great looking dude.
Yeah.
And then like Rob Lowe was huge in those days. Rob is like perfect looking. So you can't compete with that. And guys on TV were even more perfect looking. All the Melrose Placey guys and all those guys. So my one agent just said, he's a gay man. And he said, he's not my agent anymore, but he said, face it, sweetheart. In the hetero world, you're about a 7+. That's what he said. He goes, but good news for you, in the homosexual world, you're a 10+.
Pepsi Prebiotic Cola in original and cherry vanilla. That Pepsi taste you love, with no artificial sweeteners and 3 grams of prebiotic fiber. Pepsi Prebiotic Cola. Unbelievably Pepsi.
K-pop Demon Hunters Haja Boys breakfast meal and Huntrix meal have just dropped at McDonald's. They're calling this a battle for the fans. What do you say to that, Rumi?
It's not a battle. So glad the Saja Boys could take breakfast and give our meal the rest of the day.
It is an honor to share.
No, it's our honor.
It is our larger honor.
No, really. Stop.
You can really feel the respect in this battle. Pick a meal to pick a side.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's while supplies last.
Man, that's awesome. And that worked out too, because the Gary Shandling show, even with 21 Jump Street, if you would have got that, obviously that, series regular, it's good. But right around that time is when Young Guns. So that's when you connected with Emilio for the first time, right?
Young Guns, again, I would say, so maybe even Young Guns was more of a transformative career than Gump. Because
that's the first time you played a different role, right? Was that the first time you were able to show different sides of?
Yeah, I here's the thing, and this isn't touting me at all, but it's something I'm proud of, that I recently switched representation, and in the meeting with the new representation, there was one of the younger agents, it was a woman, I believe, and she said, I looked at your reel, and I looked at every single character in every single movie and TV show that you've been on, and I remember every single one of those characters. What I never realized was it was the same actor playing. So she goes, I would even just, if you were to go from Gump within the same director, if you were to go from Wesley and Gump to Fisher and Contact, I would never know that's the same guy.
Hell of a compliment, right? That's what you want as an actor.
Or the same it is. You do and you don't. It's the what you learn in that is the blessing and that is the curse.
Yeah.
Because then they can't place you somewhere, so you always get all those roles.
Yeah.
So you're always constantly doing, I did, like I said, I was doing a lot of comedy when Shandling Show. I was always, during that particular, right before that, I was always like the boyfriend on the sitcom of, on even Alf. I was the boyfriend.
Lizard,
Chameleon. Yeah, Lizard.
Look at that.
And My Sister Sam. I was the one on that one as well. Always the sweet, funny boyfriend. Once I punched Jenny, I was no longer the funny boyfriend.
Yeah.
I was now an asshole. And from that point on, went on to have a career playing a lot of assholes. But Gump was Gump, but Young Guns, all of us are still very close.
Yeah.
Like
it seemed like that. The family seems like that. Like I talked to DB Sweeney years back, and he was one of his
friend of mine.
Yeah. So one of his first roles was in Charlie was the star, huh?
DB Sweeney, just so you know, for the entire shoot of Young Guns, was on set.
Yeah.
He was there for the entire experience because he was training for Lonesome Dove.
Ah, okay.
So he would come down and just ride horses with us while we were shooting.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, he said like Martin was so good, like took him under his wing when they worked together early on, and then they just all of these other movies after that. That's cool.
I consider Martin the father I never had.
Yeah.
And he's been so great to me, and from a very young, and Emilio is a brother. Charlie's troubled little brother. I love Charlie, and one of the funniest, big-hearted people you ever meet with a lot of demons. And Dermot Mulroney is one of my dearest friends.
Yeah.
I just had a health scare like just a few weeks ago, and a pretty serious one. And man, Dermot, boom, he was there. And Dermot, he has this country band called Jackrabbit. They're fun. They're like an old country band, old school. They write their own songs, but it's very, very deep old country music. And they wear their cowboy hats. And I missed, because of my health scare, I missed their last concert, only concert I ever missed. But I'm also their front man. I go out and talk about Young Guns. I introduce them. I get the crowd excited, and then they come on stage.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. Emilio and I talk all the time, and Lou Diamond and I are still really close, and we've all worked together. We all I get movies with Emilio. I get movies with Dermot. They do. We work together constantly. I just finished a movie called Bound for Glory, and Dermot and I are both in it. Dermot recommended me to the director. So
no, that's awesome. Dermot, I just saw something on to talk about. Somebody that obviously he has wide range of roles. Like you don't place people sometimes. Like growing up, I watch Angels in the Outfield a ton. I never realized until I saw some clip that was online. They're like, man, don't forget that he plays that like douchey dad who's like blowing smoke in his kid's face when his kid's in the orphanage. But that's why.
What I play in this. That's what I play in the movie that Dermot just recommended me for.
Really?
Douchey dad, baseball dad.
There you go.
Yeah.
But one movie that was on in my house, that's a good segue from Emilio, because my dad was a garbage man, so he loved Men at Work. Like, he absolutely loved that role. And that movie, you were able to play a really fun out there. The whole movie's out there, like insanely out there.
And it all takes place in that beach town that I told you I live in now.
Really?
It was all shot here.
Holy shit. That's got to be kind of, obviously, was that the first time you've been back there in a while or no?
No, I came here from it's a great kid place.
Yeah.
But anyway,
That's funny.
Yeah, I that was a collaboration between Emilio and I. I said, "Hey, dude, what do you think if Frost is like a white Rastafarian? Like the surfer dude with like the chill dreads who just smokes too much fucking weed." And he goes, "I love that. Let's do that." The only regret was I wish I had of just like let the makeup crew make a really cool Rastafarian wig. But no, I'm a method actor. So I literally am. So I'm a member, so I insisted that I have extensions.
Oh my God. So that was in
So
for
I
a
had to
while?
Oh yeah, like a month and a half, 2 months. I lived as a Rastafarian. And it took 19 hours, 2 different sittings of 9 hours to get them all in there. And when I remember I went to the Mint. I don't know if I went with Emilio or who I went with, but we went to the Mint, which is a jazz club in LA. And I met one of my lifetime idols, one of my biggest, still to this day, one of my great heroes. And that's Sam Shepard.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Playwright, actor, one of the greatest playwrights ever, one of the greatest artists ever, just my hero, literally. And so he was at the Mint. He's a jazz drummer, actually. And so I went up and I introduced myself and started talking about my passion about his writing and all my, erudite love of his work. And he was just staring at me like, who the fuck is this? And then I realized, oh, right. I have dreadlock.
Yeah, right.
I am this crazy blonde surfer stoner dude who looks like he would know nothing about a playwright. So,
oh God, man. But yeah, such a cool classic movie. Still holds up watching it. It just has like the guy who plays the kind of like the main crime boss, sleazeball guy. I forget his name.
Yeah.
Perfect in that role and everything, whether it's The Fly. He was just on that time traveling show that I loved. It got canceled on NBC, but he plays like the slime ball in that. But so good. And then a couple of years after that, and I just met them last summer when I went to a screening for Ernest Scared Stupid, the Chiodo Brothers, Critters 3. So this is where like you're playing a lot of comedy. Obviously, these movies aren't serious, scary movies. For,
we're a sequel to,
that's what it is, right?
Tranquil.
Yeah.
Yeah. I basically, that was a Roger Corman film, I think. And at least we shot it on the Roger Corman lot in Venice. It was it gets a lot of play because it was the cinematic debut of Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
And it was so low budget that one of our we were shooting in a parking lot. I don't remember what we were shooting, but one of our main light packages, generator, everything went out and they didn't want to pay. So the director called and I think Roger Corman Studio just said, well, how many crew members do you have? Just have them point their car lights at it and just make sure their engines are.
Oh my God.
What?
Yeah.
And then when we went to go do the scene where I die, spoiler alert, the critter actually broke. So I had to use it like a puppet. I had to put my hand up its ass. And then I had to basically put it to my neck and try to get it off while it kills me. And I basically homage to my friend Joey Pantoliano. Joey Pants. I
Joey
basically
Pants,
played him.
Jersey guy.
I played him.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
it.
what are you doing? Right, that's who he is. Yeah, I stole from Joey twice.
Was that Midnight
He's a very
Run?
good friend.
Was that Midnight Run, Joey? Him as the
Yeah, it's just Joey.
yeah,
Joey.
I know.
We did a movie. I got him a gig once on a Martin Sheen movie, actually. Martin Sheen and Emilio Estevez movie, all about the. It's called Nightbreaker. It was all about the testing of soldiers. Very political for Martin. Testing of the American soldiers out in the deserts of when they were developing the bomb. Great movie. Nobody can find it. But Joey, a guy fell out, and I recommended Joey. So spending 6 weeks in Vegas with Joey Pants is fantastic. But Joey, I ripped off his voice in Fern Gully, The Last Rainforest. Also,
Oh, that's great.
so he gets 2 of my credits.
Oh man, he's very interesting. I listened to him on Marin. I was shocked about his childhood, and he couldn't read, I think, until high school. His mom, like, she
He's a
would
bookie.
yeah, and she would, when people died she would look at the obituary, somebody would die, she would call the phone company, pretend to be that person, and be able to switch payments for the phone company. So when the bills weren't getting paid, switch it to somebody else. But man, dude, yeah, dude, he's great. Another one of those guys, like, you are like, oh, I know that guy. You can watch whatever movie, you like hear that voice and just the way his movements are and everything.
Yeah, he's that guy.
He is that
That's
guy.
what we call ourselves. We call like there's a guy in
that guy in that
Australia.
thing, right?
Well, no, I think my autobiography is going to be called "No, I'm the Other Guy."
No, that's good. I helped Larry Hankin put together his memoirs, and his was That Guy, a memoir or
in that
something.
thing.
Yeah, guy in the yeah. But yeah,
that's it. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. So
that's the career. That's the life.
That is the life. Yeah. And that's one thing with him, which was very interesting to hear from someone. When you talk in depth, like in these hour interviews, I never really get into but I helped him over probably, God, it was like all throughout COVID, every Saturday for like 2 or 3 hours. We would just like kind of shoot the shit about his career. But he was talking about, he got to a point they were like, yeah, we want you to start playing a dad. And he's like, I don't want to do that, because once I do that once, then every sitcom I'm bouncing around as a dad. So he's like, I want to choose who I'm going to be. So then he only took roles as like a homeless guy. And he was just kind of like pissed off at the industry and I don't know. But it was interesting to hear that side of it.
One of my favorite roles that every Thanksgiving, people talk about it because they play it. I did a very famous Monk episode where I played a homeless guy.
Monk's the best,
because he was germophobic, and then he had these three metaphor of the saints of the shepherds sitting in his house having Thanksgiving. It's a very funny episode.
I'm sure I gotta go check that out again. But so you mentioned earlier, like, obviously Forrest Gump is a part, like, kind of a turning point for you. But after that, man, there's some really cool projects. Did you have to, obviously Apollo 13, that was kind of like a connection? Was that like, hey?
That was my first meeting of Ron. I've always said that particular run in my career, I was always very proud of. I'm very proud of the amount I have worked and been hired, but I'm most proud of how many times I've been rehired by the same directors.
Yeah.
So Apollo 13, again, all those guys, we're all still friends. We've all come up to, Xander Berkeley and Ray McKinnon and Andy Milder and the list goes on that one. Googie Griss.
Googie,
but
yeah,
we're all
Googie,
still Googie, yes. So we're all still friends, and we're all still, around, and I've always said in that particular movie, Jane Jenkins, great casting director, now retired, that if you were the actor, a white actor, somewhat, waspy, wore glasses like this, in that particular time of a particular age, if you weren't in Apollo 13, you needed a new agent.
Yeah, right.
So, but I do remember again specifically. You always remember that moment as like I thought I was so excited to go there. I remember going into the conference room at Imagine, and there was Ron, and there was his assistant, and she became a friend later in life as well. And there was Brian Grazer, and the scene, there was a big glass conference table they were. And my character was getting into it. He said, "You just improv, do things." He was talking, isn't it? And I had one particular line, and I got really, really upset. And it was a scene that ended up being with Ed Harris in the movie. And I slammed my hands down on the glass table in improvisational. And then in slow motion, I could see where Ron was positioned at the other end of the glass table looking at me. I could see this gigantic water pitcher flying through the air in slow motion and landing all over Ron. And it was like,
God.
I am never getting this fucking movie. It's like, there's no way. And ultimately, we laughed about it. And he said, actually, that's why you got the movie. It was like, it was just, how am I going to forget you?
Yeah, right.
So,
And that's the
guy soaked
opportunity
me
you have when you're doing
when
that
you're in the room.
person, right? Because remember,
Yes.
I always think of those stories, and I think that it ruins it for a next generation of actors because you don't have those like that story. Like my favorite one ever is the Danny DeVito one when he auditioned for Taxi and he took the script and he said, "Who wrote this shit?" and threw it and walked out. And they
Right.
were like, "What's
Yeah.
that?" And then they chased him down, and then he's Louis De Palma because he walked in the room as Louis
Right.
De Palma. It's
Of
different
course.
than hitting play and the person is in that already, you know?
When I auditioned for Young Guns, I'm a CIA kid who grew up all over the world. My parents are from Swarthmore, Pennsylvania. Could not be They're Bunky and Tootsie. That was their names. They grew up in the small town, became high school sweethearts, got married, blah, 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 blah. But it was very, very highly educated. It's all Swarthmore education. If you know anything about Swarthmore, it is a very elite academic school. And so I came from that. I'm a freaking wasp. I'm as waspy as you can get.
Yeah.
I mean, my people literally, I just did my 23andMe and it was confirmed. My people, I'm literally a direct descendant of the Mayflower.
Oh my God. So
Stephen,
that nails it.
Yeah, that's Quaker country. That's Pennsylvania. That's what Swarthmore is. So my people are so repressed, they wore buckles on their head and their shoes.
Yeah.
But literally, Stephen Hopkins was his name, my direct descendant. And so here I am going to Young Guns to play this guy who was a real guy, JT McCloskey, who came from deep, deep, deep Texas. and was just a con man and a ragamuffin. So I made up this whole fucking story for Chris Kane that I came from a place called Goose Creek, Texas, which is kind of near where McCloskey was, and that my dad was an offshore oilman, and he would go off we'd go on shifts of 1 week, 2 week, 2 week, 1 week onshore, and that my whole life was all about Texas and growing up, and it was all oil and working class and it was all about beer and drinking, basically shooting the shit, all the stuff that Matthew McConaughey believes about himself.
Yeah.
Done a couple movies with Matthew. He's a great guy, and he is as Texas as you get. So I go in. I even have the accent. I'm doing all that. So then he falls for it, hook, line, and sinker, Christopher Kane. And at the end of the audition, he goes, "Oh, that's great. That's great. I knew I had it." And he said, "Oh, just one last question. Do you know how to ride a horse?" And I said to him, with all the indignant I can muster, "I'm from Texas." And I walk out of the room. I've never been on a fucking horse in my life. I've been on tennis courts. So you got the part. Holy shit. Hello, LA Equestrian Center. How long does it take to learn to ride a fucking horse?
Right. Yeah.
So I go out there, and then ultimately, none of us really had ridden horses. And so we ended up doing a whole training program. And luckily, the best man at my wedding, we did a lot of riding out at C. Thomas Howell's place.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know why to this day C. Thomas Howell wasn't in the movie, but because he's perfect. He's still a really good friend as well. Another we met on a movie called
musician, another guy who's like
Yeah,
this
we met
funky
on
musician.
Exactly. Kiefer plays in a band too. It was called Secret Admirer.
Yeah.
The movie that Tommy and I did.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, no, a
So-
lot of people are musicians. You're like Keanu Reeves, like Billy Bob Thornton. Like I saw like an ad
Billy Bob's
online.
great.
It was like, oh, I think they're the box cutters or the box masters, something like that. And
Yeah.
I'm looking
Yeah.
at the clip and I'm like, that's Billy Bob in the front. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And I did one of the shout outs. I went to a concert recently up in Pioneer Town, which is this really cool town up near Joshua Tree. That literally was a movie studio for old westerns.
Cool.
And they've kind of preserved the street and done everything. They used to shoot a lot of Billy Wilder, a bunch of old Gene Autry, that kind of westerns. And they have this great venue up there. Like even Paul McCartney has played.
Oh, wow.
It's this bar saloon that you see pictures on the wall. Like Chris Christopherson played
Oh,
there.
sweet.
All these.
What was the name of
They
it?
just love. It's called in Pioneer Town, and I can't remember the name of the
I'm
bar.
sure I could find it online, but that sounds rad.
Just look it up. It's very cool. And something in Pappy's. And so Dermot's band played up there, but then who opened for him was talking about iconic 90s actresses, Shawnee Smith and Missy Pyle.
Really? Missy Pyle?
Yeah, they have a duo.
And
together
Shawnee Smith? Wow.
Yes, and Shawnee Smith. So
that's pretty cool to see that connection. But
yeah.
Geoffrey, this has been so much.
They're like this.
This has been a lot of fun. What I love, obviously, we can't go through all your career, but what I love to find out is, especially when you're doing this gig at your job, because you want to be so present, you want to be so into it. Did you ever have the wherewithal of like keeping things along the years, like scripts, part of wardrobe or anything?
I know. I learned that from Joey Pants, by the way. I'm keeping it. Yeah. So yeah, I notoriously do like to always take a piece of wardrobe. I still have the Young Guns hat. The one with, it still has the hole out of the back of it. Dermot tells me that it's actually worth some money because he has some Young Guns stuff too, and he said you'd be surprised how much money we can get for those things.
Yeah.
So I'll hang on to that when college comes for my next gig.
Yeah. How do you get to pay for college and you walk to the desk and you just hand them the hat?
I got a hat. So yeah, I do. I have a couple of scripts probably somewhere. I wish I had the Gump script. I don't think I do. I do have the Young Gun script. I do know that.
Oh, that's cool. So you thought about it, like I'm sure maybe early on, like Gary Shandling's show or other shows that you were on or films, but
it's more war. It's particularly wardrobe.
Yeah.
There's one. I don't even know what movie. Like I do have the suit. This is a good story actually. The suit from Ed TV.
Oh, okay.
That was a Ron Howard movie that I did. That McConaughey was in, and Woody. I played Ellen DeGeneres' sidekick. She was the head of the network. I was her very smart, well-dressed sidekick or assistant or whatever I was, executive at the network as well. And so I had Donna Karan. They made me a suit, a Donna Karan black made specifically to me. They just made me a custom suit, this cool greenish gray color, kind of this color. And ultimately, it got to the end of the thing. I talked to the wardrobe. I go, who? This was made specifically for me.
Yeah.
Who would possibly ever wear this suit? The shoulders, everything. And she goes, well, it's Universal, so we have a strong inventory of everything they own. But she goes, they're not going to check it that closely. So what you want to do on the last day of shooting, go down, and there was a place on Robertson Boulevard that was like kind of a secondhand of designer places that were discount designers. I may have been in the name of it. And she goes, go buy just an off the rack DKNY suit. That's going to be like $100. At that place, it'll be like $100. So get that $100 suit and then leave that in your dressing room on the last day, and you take that suit.
Damn.
So I upgraded to like a $3,000 suit for a $100 suit.
Pretty good exchange.
And I still wear it.
Oh, really?
It still
That's
fits.
amazing. That's awesome.
So when I go out for like, rich dudes, I always wear that suit.
That's amazing. That's so cool. A lot of audition uses for that. 26-ish.
Oh yeah.
Years
you
worth
think about
of
those things. Wow, this would work really good on there was another movie I called The Tracker I did with Chris Christopherson, and had this really cool ripped up vest. It was a Western as well. And it was like just shredded and just so charactery. I took that, and then that ultimately is what I wore for the audition of Monk to get the homeless guy.
Wow. The connections, it's like you're bringing in a piece of you, like a little good luck charm. Is there any type of character? Because like you've said, like they said to you,
Been
you
everything.
represented that you are able to be everything, like a chameleon. Is there a type of character that you've never got to play that you like to play, or like a role that you have your eyes set on?
No, because it's already past that. I never played the romantic leading man. That never happened. There are theater roles now that I'm older I do want to play. One of my mentors is Larry Moss. He's one of the most renowned acting teacher coaches on the planet. Wrote an amazing book for young actors. If you watch this, called The Intent to Live. It's the best going actor book right now by Larry Moss. And I used to do a live Zoom show during the pandemic. It was called The Working Actor's Journey. It was kind of like this, but we would do it on Zoom, and it was a Friday night, and anybody could come on the internet, and we'd get hundreds of young actors there
That's
just
cool.
to come, because I would have guest on and my colleagues. Like I had Giancarlo Esposito on, I had Dermot on, I had Steven Weber, Spencer. They all came on, and I'd have directors and studio heads and everybody on. But I had Larry Moss on. And we were talking about just this. And he said, well, what great role. And he goes, Larry, I'm coming upon that age now where, I've always wanted to play Willie Loman in Death of a Salesman. And his response was cherished. Perfect. He goes, he always rubs his neck. And he'd say, please don't. That's what he said to me. Crush. And he goes, no, not that you're not a wonderful actor. Just you could not be more wrong for Willie Loman. Like Willie Loman is just like, broken down salesman guy. And like, you're like 6'2" and skinny and have your hair and you have good teeth. And no, don't play Willie Loman. He goes, but do All My Sons. Same writer. And Bryan Cranston just did All My Sons in London, and it's supposed to be fantastic in it. So I will, and Nathan Lane is doing Death of a Salesman right now in New York. So I could not be more different than Nathan Lane.
Yeah.
So that's your son. Hello.
Yeah. Little guy's home from school today. That's all. So when you're back in New York, are you still doing any theater? Obviously not right where you're at now, but are you
I
think about it when you're back in the city?
I'm coming. I'll be in New York in July teaching a week intensive seminar to young actors called Broadway First or something, about actors who want to be on Broadway, young actors. So I do a lot of mentoring of young actors. So I'll be in New York doing that. And then I'm starting to plan my pilgrimage back, which is going to be summer of 2027. And also, there's so much work in New York for film and television now. So
yeah.
I did Godfather Harlem there. I did Bridge and Tunnel there. And my computer is telling me your Mac will sleep very soon unless you plug it into a power
All right, well, we're
outlet.
almost done. Me too. I didn't plug my computer in either. So it works out perfect. But Geoffrey, this has been awesome, and I'm happy that you're doing better, because when you sent me that email that you're in the hospital, I'm like, oh. But I'm glad, obviously, you're
it was rough.
YouTube. Yeah. Man, but I'm happy we connected, man. I'm such a huge fan of your work. I'm telling you, of my old man, I'm sure other careers have a lot of movies, not a lot of garbage man movies. So Men at Work was on a lot. And it's again, the comedy was such ahead of its time. When watching it now, just different jokes, like even the creepy scene with Charlie Sheen in the apartment. And he's like, oh, why don't you grab the Dom? And she's like, how would you know I had Dom? He's like, I don't know. It just seemed like you would. And it's like, you're just, dude, he's giving away that he creeps on this girl. And it's funny because he's such a good looking guy. Not like good looking guys can't be creeps, but no, such a good movie to go back and for anyone should watch.
It's fun. I do hear through the grapevine that there is there may be a script out there. Don't know, can't quote it, but there may be hopefully we can do Old Men at Work.
Oh my God, are you serious? That'd be awesome.
Yeah. And then I'll put in gray dreadlocks.
That would be amazing. Or
Yes.
it's the same hair, the same color. Like you did not age because of your very free living.
Yeah. Or I'm completely bald and it is a wig.
Oh, yeah. Geoffrey, enjoy, man. Have a great rest of your day.
Man.
That was very interesting. Asking the question about keeping stuff and the fact that he loves wardrobe, because wardrobe is so important to a character. You see someone, they don't have to say a word yet. You maybe like a rip in their clothing or it looks worn down. You're like, okay, this person doesn't have money, or they went through some type of struggle. Like, how did they get to the moment that you're seeing them on film? Like, those are the things you think of when you're watching movies, and that's why such a beautiful experience when you're watching TV and film, because the background, before the actor even talks, you know so much about them. And just the way he was able to get that amazing suit that he rocks in at TV, he got the advice, hey, go buy a suit that sort of looks like it. A DKNY, like $100 knockoff, and just leave that in your dressing room. And then he uses that suit to this day when he's auditioning for like snooty roles. And it's funny, like he talks about like the way he grew up is not how he is. He's like a super liberal, chill, laid back guy, and real actor's actor. Geoffrey was awesome. So be sure to follow him on all socials. I'll put any links to his IMDb as well, so you can check out his credits, check out what he's got coming up, and also go back, man. Men at Work, Young Guns, great movie. It's Gary Shandling's show. I know his experience wasn't the best. Like, he didn't get a lot in that role, but obviously it's a paying job. But that show was kind of ahead of its time. Like, the weird comedy that sort of is in now. More mainstream than it was. Like, Tim and Eric, awesome show. Like, that kind of stuff is like, oh, yeah, you watch it late at night. But now, when you have, like, Tim Robinson, the funky stuff that he does, and people are loving it, or Nathan Fielder, there's a lot of fun comedy now. And and then hopefully I can see Geoffrey when he comes back to New York next year on Broadway. Pop up, have some lunch with him, say what's up, see him in a play. That would be awesome. So yeah, your homework, Critters 3. It's on Tubi. It's got Leo. It's got Geoffrey with his hand, as his words say, up a critter's ass. So it'd be a lot of fun. So don't forget to review, rate, share our podcast. Follow us on all social media at Sequels Only. And don't forget to check out our website, sequelsonly.com. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, guys. Good night, guys. I love Avery. Is it over?